When you think about personal development books or the laws of attraction, what comes to your mind? Do you recall a time when maybe you deeply desired something, felt completely aligned to that goal, and eventually achieved it? How did that experience make you feel? This process of deliberate thoughts and actions isn't just anecdotal. It's now being studied by neuroscientists. I recently completed the course with MIT Neuroscience for Business, led by one of my favorite experts, Dr. Tara Swart. One of the key exercises we did during that program was to create an action board. This visual tool helps us tap into our brain's potential by setting clear visions for the future, activating the brain's ability to focus on the work and to take the action to get there. This results in us meeting our desires. I believe in taking deliberate steps towards creating the life I want rather than looking back with regret at the end of the year. We're near the end of the year, and many of us may be looking back and feeling like that. But let's be honest, getting started can be the most challenging part of the manifestation process. How do we shift into the right mindset? What practical steps can we take to get there? It can really feel overwhelming. To help us navigate this, I am excited to welcome my guest, Pooja Dhiman. Pooja is a former banking lawyer who now works as a coach and consultant in the leadership space. She specializes in values-based leadership and helping individuals and teams create the lives they desire. Having trained thousands of corporate leaders at places including Google, University College London, and the NHS, her approach is underpinned by Vedic principles. We'll talk more about that later. Pooja infuses this ancient wisdom, which includes mindfulness to help individuals and teams align, work together, and manifest what they want. We were both at college together many, many years ago, and thanks to LinkedIn, we reconnected as a result of our new shared interests and passions. When we are aligned, things happen, and I truly believe that. In today's episode, we will explore the steps to manifesting the lives we truly desire. As we wrap up another year, perhaps that gym membership we didn't use, ideas we never pursued, or goals left unfulfilled. It's the perfect time to get proactive about the year ahead. We are not lost. We have a new opportunity to restart, rebuild, and recreate. Hashtag you got this. Join us as we deep dive into aligning with our purpose, setting actionable goals, and taking deliberate steps to create the life we envision. Welcome, Pooja. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Hi, Monica. Thank you so much for having me. Good to be here.
Wonderful. So, Pooja, I would love to just go straight into this and talk a bit more about you and your career. You've had quite a varied career, and as I mentioned in the opening, how does a lawyer step into the space of coaching, manifestation, and more?
I've had quite a journey. So I was a lawyer for 20 years. I worked as a banking lawyer for 20 years. In the city, worked, in London, city trained, worked in firms, and I worked in various banks. And within finance law, I did loads of different stuff because, to be honest, I never fully enjoyed the law. Like, it was never really something that lit up my life. So I tried lots of different areas within law to kind of find something that I thought I might enjoy. How did I come to law? Why did I choose law? People sometimes ask, why did you choose a career that you weren't passionate about in the first place? And I always say that when I chose law, I was actually really quite clueless. Like, I remember, so we knew each other back then, like when we chose our subjects for, studying at degree level, and then we chose careers. I didn't really know what I was getting into when I chose law. I remember at the time, Ally McBeal was like a TV show that was really popular. So I watched that. I watched, whatever shows were on TV, mainly American shows about lawyers. And I thought, okay, that's what being a lawyer is, and that's what being a lawyer will involve. When I started working in law in the city, it was very different. It wasn't as dynamic as I thought it would be. it was an environment that suited some types of people, but just not necessarily me. And I was often sitting drafting documents on my own for a really long time. So I really struggled with being alone. I struggled with not having that interaction that I wanted with people. And I was working on these really big corporate deals, which for me, they just didn't feel like they had the kind of meaning or purpose that I was looking for in life. And, I remember it so, so clearly. Like I didn't have much control over my time. So there would be nights where I'd be working by myself late into the night. I remember so, so clearly. There was one evening where I'm in the office, all my friends are out. I can't join them because I've been asked to pitch in on a deal. I have no choice. I have to do it. And I remember sitting in the office and there was a voice inside of me that kind of spoke to me. It wasn't like a big, clear, booming voice, but it was just this feeling that I had inside of me that was like, you know what, there is something more for you. This is not what you're meant to do with your life. And that voice, I kind of tried to ignore it. I tried to shut it down because I thought, you know what, this is just silly. It's just me feeling tired or whatever. But that voice didn't leave me throughout my legal career. And now I know it was kind of like a bit of a nudge from the universe or from my heart that was saying to me, this is not what you're meant to do. Truly, I was passionate about people and working with people. And the thing that lights me up and always has more than anything is helping people create what they want. So I went on a bit of a journey of discovery to figure out what my purpose was. And in my spare time as a lawyer, so I used to use my spare time to kind of work on my purpose. I started a radio show in my spare time. I tried to do a bit of writing because I thought I might want to be a writer. I ran a business, a fashion business on the side. I did loads and loads of different things to try and figure out what I wanted to do. And eventually I hired a coach to help me. And it was only when I hired that coach that I was able to then figure out, you know what, I kind of love what you're doing in the room with me. So it was this coach that kind of got me out of my own way and helped me uncover what I truly cared about, what I was truly passionate about. Did the coaching training. And on the coaching training, while I was there in the space, honestly, I had no intention of becoming a coach. So I did this coaching training. I remember going into the room thinking, what is life coaching? Like, what is this? It's a joke. I'm a lawyer. Come on, I'm not going to become a life coach. But I went to the training anyway. And I remember at the training, everyone in the space just saying to me, you know what, Pooja, you're a born coach. Like, you have to do this. And again, going back to what I was saying, like it felt like I was getting these constant nudges to change direction. And I really listened, even when it was really difficult and it didn't sort of make logical sense. I really listened to that. So I retrained, I became a coach, I got into the work I do now. And then a real area of interest and focus became manifestation. Because I was like, you know what? I kind of have an interest in the energetics and spirituality. I've been a meditator for now over 15 years. I'm a yogi, a yoga teacher. And I fused my coaching with the spirituality, brought them together. And now I'm able to help people really create what they want with that kind of formula and putting that together. So I came to it not necessarily by design. It just kind of happened and I ended up here. But also, I really listened to my inner voice along the way. I didn't shut it down. And I knew that I'm here for something different than working in a corporate law firm. Like I knew that deep down and I followed that instinct.
Yeah, that's really powerful. It's almost like you're the monk who sold his Ferrari or the eat, pray, love journey that you've been on to get there. And, often we switch off that little voice in our minds or that feeling deep within our hearts because it doesn't feel logical, it doesn't make sense. But yeah, that's our inner wisdom and our intuition trying to guide us and tell us. And then one day, maybe we can't quiet that voice and suddenly we are following and listening, and that brings you to where you are today. And that's really beautiful.
Yeah, and it's not logical. That's the thing. We are trained to work in logic. We're trained in school. Things should be logical.
Mm,
A plus B equals C.
mm,
This voice, this intuition is not often logical, but it weirdly gets you really quickly to where you're trying to go.
Mm.
And actually, it reminds me of the book The Alchemist by Paulo
Mm.
Coelho. Like, it's such a beautiful book, you know, about following your intuition. And what I love is, I can't remember the exact statement now, but it's something along the lines of the story of the boy who's on a journey. And there's a sentence in there around the boy had become friends with his heart.
Mm.
And it really stood out to me, that sentence, because it's like when you do become friends with your heart and friends with your, you know, whatever you call it, your spirit, your energy, your inner voice, whatever, then things really do start to change, especially when you start to listen.
It's so powerful. I love The Alchemist. I almost feel like reading it again. Like that's the kind of the message that's coming to me over the last few weeks. So I think you've sealed that inner message. So if anyone hasn't read the book, we really recommend it. I think while we were growing up, it was like one of those game-changing books, and it's still so relevant today.
I might be reading it too, Monica.
Ooh, there you go. All right, so you've created and you've designed this life, you're doing what you love and you're living with your passion and purpose now. We're coming towards the end of another year. And one of the things I really wanted to ask you about and really get your insight on is around manifestation. Like, you know, in its simple terms, what is it and why does it work?
Mhm. So, manifestation, in a nutshell, it's bringing your desires into reality by focusing your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions, right? So, the whole concept of manifestation, all it is put your energy, put your thoughts into what you want, focus on what you want, not on what you don't want. And if you focus on what you want, you put your energy into what you want, then what you want will come into being, will come into reality. So, in its essence, it's really, really simple. But it's gotten really confused and people really don't understand it and it's become really complicated. But really, in a nutshell, it's like if you focus on something that you really want and you put your energy there, ultimately it will come to pass, it will come to happen. Now, sometimes people are a bit cynical about the word manifestation. Sometimes it's because it's new, it's seen as a bit woo-woo, it's seen as you know, some kind of magic and does it work? But you referenced Dr. Tara Swartz's book, right? So she's a neuroscientist. Her book, The Source, is amazing. So if you are somebody who needs convincing, highly recommend reading that book about how the brain actually manifests. But even if you just think about it really logically, right? You're trying to make something happen. Let's say you've got a business and you want 2 clients. What would you do to get those 2 clients, right? You would think about it, you'd get your thoughts aligned, you would try to feel positive about it, because if you feel positive about it, you will then take action towards it. So even if you don't really believe in the word manifestation, at some level, whenever you make something happen in your life, you are doing effectively manifestation. You might not be calling it that. Versus somebody who focuses on what they don't want. So if you want, same example, you want 2 clients, but you're focusing on what you don't want. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to get 2 clients. I'm not going to get 2 clients. I'm not going to get 2 clients. Your thoughts are negative. Your feelings about it will be, oh gosh, I can't get 2 clients. So then, you know what? I don't even have the energy to go out there and hustle and make it happen. So even if you don't know the concept or believe in it, just even from a kind of a logical standpoint, why not believe in it and take yourself from being here where you might feel like a victim and feel a bit down to a creator, right? Who's going to have a go and try to create the life you want.
That's so such a nice way to put it, because it can sound a bit woo-woo, you know, the secret, laws of attraction, the magic. Yet we might see people who we admire, or there might be a colleague or a peer, and we see them 5, 10 years later, and they've got this amazing life. And we could actually look at them with maybe a bit of envy or a bit of jealousy, because they've achieved something that maybe in our hearts we really wanted to. And then the things we can ask ourselves is, you know, what did they do to get there? And chances are they applied focused action to get the goals that they desired, and they believed in it, and they aligned that energy. And I think It's really difficult to do though, isn't it, Pooja? I know you said it's really simple, but it also feels that it can be difficult at times.
Can be. It can be. So the first thing I'm going to say is the first to your first point. If you do see somebody, first tip, if you do see somebody that triggers you, that you feel like, gosh, they've got everything that I want, right? Really notice that feeling, because it's showing you something you really want, right? That feeling of jealousy or envy or whatever we call it, or even a bit of anger and irritation, it's information. It's saying, you know what, my heart wants this too. And you can use that energy if you turn it around, right? So one of the things I like to do is, for example, let's say somebody has something, I don't know, I'm just trying to think of something you might want. Okay, let's say you're single and you want a relationship, right? You see a friend, you've been trying to find a man and it's not working, or a woman or whatever, and whoever you're looking for, it's not working, it's not working, it's not working. Then you see a friend, and this friend has got it all, and she's met a guy and he's amazing. That triggers you. You feel that jealousy, you feel that slight envy. And that's okay, by the way, that's fine, you're human. What you can do there, first of all, notice it. Okay, I really want this because I feel triggered. But then try and tune in to what she's feeling. Try and tune into the frequency of their relationship and their love. Put yourself in her shoes. Gosh, instead of letting that envy block you, what must it be like to be in that relationship? What must it be like to receive that love? What must it be like to have somebody running around after you, or whatever you see and like? So that's an immediate first tip when you're triggered. Instead of letting that trigger take over, is to go into the consciousness, the energy, the vibration of that thing that actually you really want. And then what I say, so how to manifest, right? It's the thing that people really struggle with. Where do I start? I feel things are not working out for me. Where do I start? The biggest problem, right? The biggest issue I see with people, whether they are students, CEOs, mothers, whoever they might be, is they're not clear on what they want. Now, it sounds really simple because people say, oh, I think I know what I want. I do know what I want. Actually, it's not clear. And the first step is to have crystal clear clarity about what it is you want, right? I'll give you an example. So just last week, I was working with a group, right? A group of people, like I do some team coaching and manifestation work, and they run events. And I said, okay, fine. So as a group, as a team, what do you want to manifest? What do you want to create in 3 years? And they said, oh, we want to run all these events and we want to do this and we want to have a festival. And I said, okay, great. Let's get specific. How much money do you want to be making in 3 years? And you wouldn't believe they could not agree on a number. So if you don't know clearly what the end result even looks like, how are you going to manifest it? How are you going to get clear on that? Right? If you're looking to manifest, say, a new job, again, how much do you want to earn? Where do you want to work? What does it look like? And this is where people get a bit afraid because they think, oh, I don't want to choose the wrong thing. What if I choose something and it's not really what I want? You have to give your brain that instruction. It needs that clarity to manifest. Otherwise, your energy, just like your thoughts, become really scattered. And imagine if I'm your fairy godmother and I want to grant your manifestation wish. If it's not clear, I don't know what to give you. Going back to the example of the team I was working with, I made them commit to a number. What is the income? What is the number of events? What's happening at these events? What is going on? Let's get granular with it. And you won't believe the clarity, the joy, all of that stuff flowed from that clarity. So step number 1, get a pen, get a paper. Next year, what is important to you? What do you want? Write it down. Remember, the universe is like, Rhonda Byrne calls it like a big photocopying machine. Like whatever you put out there, it's going to be photocopied and sent back. So you've got to be really clear and specific because you will get exactly that. I'll give you an example. I was dating a few years ago and looking for someone to be in a relationship with, and I created a vision board and action board. On that vision board, I thought, you know, I want a man who feels like a real catch. A real catch. So I put a hand holding a tennis ball, like it caught the ball. And I manifested a tennis coach.
Wow.
So you got to be really careful with being specific, right? You will get specifically what you want. So step number one, choose, right? Force yourself to choose. You can change it later. But that act of deciding and getting clear, the word decide, I think the Latin word decide actually means to cut off. Don't quote me on that. When we decide we want something, we focus our energy. It's like we're directing our energy like a target towards that thing. When we don't decide, imagine your energy is just like going all over the place. It doesn't know where to hone in. Once we decide, it kind of gets this laser focus. Right, I know what she wants. She knows what she wants, and then the universe knows what she wants. So that clarity is really important. So step number one, everyone write down what you want. I reckon focus just on one main thing, maybe for the next 6 months, but you can put more. Again, the more specific and the more focused, the better. Maximum 3 things, I would say, to manifest. What is it you want? Get clear. And then everything else flows from there.
That's really powerful. And the minute we see things working, then it gives us the confidence to try it out with other parts of our lives as well, doesn't it? So that's really interesting. So how has, you know, I would like evidence from you, Pooja. So how has this journey of manifestation helped you?
Yes, well, this is the thing. I didn't know what manifestation was. So when The Secret came out, some people have seen The Secret, some may not have. It came out in what, 2008 or something,
Something
2009?
like that.
I had never heard this word manifestation before, right? And even now, like what we call it, it doesn't really matter, right? It's a process of creating what you want in your life. And when I watched The Secret, I remember, first of all, I loved it. I thought it was great. It was really hope, it was positive and all of this. And I thought, weird, this is talking about thoughts, feelings, actions to create what you want. And I was like, you know, I've done this before. I've been doing this my whole life. I didn't know it was called manifestation. So the evidence, right? I love that you're asking a lawyer as well for the evidence. That's awesome. So many things. So many things manifested for me. So I remember when I was a junior lawyer, so this would have been, The Secret came out in 2008. I was a junior lawyer 2003-ish, but I needed to get a training contract. So what you do is you go to law school and it's paid for. Your legal studies and everything are paid for. And then when you start working, you've got that certainty that you get a salary. And I remember when I graduated law school, I didn't have a training contract. And I really wanted one because I knew law school, the rest of law school would be paid for. I had a job at the end of my training and I could have certainty and security, right? Applied to loads of law firms and didn't really get anywhere. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to take a year out and I'm just going to see what happens. I'll start working in some firms and just see. So I got a job in a firm and I really wanted a training contract with that firm, right? So first step, as I've just said, to get really, really clear what you want. I knew for a fact that I wanted a training contract with that firm. I wasn't attached to how it happened, how it came to me, right? So I was clear that I wanted this to happen. I was clear on the kind of time frame I wanted it to happen, but I didn't know the how. I didn't figure out all the details and I wasn't trying to micromanage the process. I just had this deep faith within that this was going to happen. Now, the firm said to me, because I'd asked about it a few times, they said, we've never ever hired somebody to be a trainee at our firm if they've worked here before as a paralegal or anything. So that was the rule at the firm, right? I completely ignored that. I was like, I am just going to see myself working here and I'm going to see a training contract being handed to me. They will approach me. And honestly, I let it go. I lived my life. I carried on. I did a really good job for the firm. Every time I worked on anything, I created a good impression. I just acted as if this was a done deal. And lo and behold, I only worked there for about, I think, 9 or 10 months. Within that period, they approached me and they said, "We love having you here. Have you considered applying for a training contract?" And it was so weird because I realized now I manifested it, right? I'd put that intention out. I got really clear about it. I'd let go of kind of micromanaging it and controlling it, but I kind of knew it was going to come to me, right? I had that deep faith, almost to the point that when it happened, it was like, I kind of knew this was coming anyway. So I was like really sort of ready and set up. So I didn't know that was manifestation, but I manifested that. And it was life-changing, right? The second example, right? Another crazy thing that happened, which I now know was manifestation. At the same kind of time, I really wanted to go to Australia. Right? I had this real desire because I had a year off and I thought, I really want to go to Australia. But then I thought, I don't want to go to Australia by myself. Like, I'd love to meet a man. I'd love to have a relationship. I'd love to go with someone. And I remember in bed, like I didn't put any effort into this manifestation almost. I got really clear. I remember I was in bed and I kind of thought about this person that was going to come into my life. And I thought, he'll look a certain way. He'll have a certain type of personality. I see him being quite athletic. He'll be Australian and he'll have a great circle of friends, like international friends. And I saw Australia. And lo and behold, like, it was crazy. I was really open and I was kind of, again, a bit detached. Like I wasn't forcing it to happen in any way. It's just like, it'd be really nice if this happened. A friend of mine from university says to me, oh, he's met a guy from Australia who he wants to organize a dinner party for a few people to get together. I go along to the dinner party. We get talking. We get on really well. He's Australian. We end up getting into a relationship. I end up going to Australia with him. And this really weird detail that was important to me, that he had a really great circle of friends. Again, that was the case, to the point that I'm still friends with them to this day. So again, it was an example of me just getting really, really clear. And I think the magic was, first of all, the clarity. I was doing it from an energy of like feeling quite chilled, quite relaxed. I wasn't stressed about it. I wasn't putting pressure on it. And I kept visualizing it and I kept thinking about it in my kind of day-to-day moments and kind of, just enjoying the feeling and the idea that this person could come in. And then honestly, it was almost like magic. It kind of just dropped in. And then I had to show up to the dinner party, obviously, and I had to talk to him and flirt and do all the things you do, right? It wasn't as if it was like a passive process, but I kind of created that situation for that to happen and then did what I needed to do once it did.
Wow, that's so beautiful. And in the secret, they talk about being playful with what you want. Like that's what they use an example of the child wanting the bike, or you can even say to kids, oh, write down your wish list or really believe you can get it. So you can also have fun with it as well, right? Because you've given like you've shared a light-hearted yet really important story of what happened with you. So how important is having that fun and like just enjoying the process?
I think it's critical. I think you're saying something so important there. Like it's critical, First of all, manifestation, you can do it in a way that is quite stressful. You can, but then what's the point? Like write a plan and make it happen. It's not really fun. One is important for a number of reasons, but the most important is, first of all, keeps it light. Okay. Keeps you in that positive energy that it can happen and it can happen from anywhere. That's just great in itself. But the reason fun is really important is because fun connects us to our sacral energy center, the Swadhisthana chakra. So I'll go into the energy centers and what they are in a minute, but we have this energy in our body which loves joy, which loves fun, which loves creativity. And when we feel that energy of joy and playfulness and fun, that part of our body, the creative center, comes to life. That then starts to make us become really magnetic to what we want. So when we feel that joyous energy, we truly become like a magnet for that thing, because that thing also wants to come to us, right? If you imagine two things need to kind of come together, the energies need to come together. When the sacral chakra is having fun, when the energy is like, boom, I'm loving this, like, when are you coming in? It comes like a magnet.
Wow, that's amazing. And it nicely takes me on to the next thing I really wanted to discuss with you. In the opening, I talked about you do a lot of work based on the Vedic philosophy and Eastern traditions. So you've mentioned chakras already. So, you know, chakras, energy centers, many people would have heard of them. What makes it so important in our lives, and what roles do they play?
Mm. So I think chakras, people hear the word, have heard the word, and are not sure what they are. And sometimes a lot of Hollywood movies are to blame for, oh, I'm going to balance and align my chakras. And it's a bit seen as a bit of a silly thing. But actually, chakras come from Indian philosophy, and it's like probably 3,500 years old, if not up to 5,000 years old. So this is a philosophy, and it comes from a way of life. Now, yoga comes from the same place. So does Ayurveda, which is the system of medicine. So does, Indian astrology. Now, whether you believe in it or not, it doesn't matter. It's a philosophy and it's a system for how to live your best life. If you think about it, 5,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, people had the same problems, right? They were stressed, they weren't balanced, they needed something to feel good. And so this system was developed to bring people into balance, right? When we do yoga, all we're trying to do is balance the energy of the body. When we do meditation, we're actually meditating to connect to our energy, to connect to these centers. So they are actually at the foundation of everything we do in all these practices. So Vedic philosophy is the kind of blanket term for all of these things. And it's documented, it's written down. I specialize and I'm fascinated by the chakras because these are, so we have lungs, we have, organs like the lungs, we have, the heart, we have the kidneys, we have veins, we have skin, we have all of these things we can touch and feel. We also have, in the same way, just the way the veins run through the body, we have a system of energy that runs through the body alongside and all around the veins and the various channels. Where these channels like intersect, so if you've got a channel of energy running one way, a channel of energy running the other way, where they intersect, we get this kind of spinning vortex of energy. That's what a chakra is, because chakra means like a circle, like a vortex of energy. We have 7 main chakras in the body, right? All the way from our root, where our kind of sitting bones are, all the way up the spine to the crown of the head. And there are many, many more, but those are the 7 main chakras. Chakras and these energy centers are the secret source to manifestation. Why? Because people always say, if you're going to manifest something, you've got to feel it. You've got to feel it. If you don't feel it, you won't manifest it. There's no point just thinking it. It's why we create a vision board or an action board. It's why we try to think about things and visualize them so we can get into the feeling of them. And the chakras are the energy. They're the kind of the engine that drives that manifestation. So as I was saying earlier, we have 7 centers, right? Root Muladhara, Swadhisthana sacral, which is where the reproductive organs are. Then we have the solar plexus, the Manipur, which is kind of where your digestive system is. We have the Anahata, which is the heart chakra in the middle of your chest. The throat, the Vishuddhi, which is right here. Then we have the crown, the Ajna, which is very commonly known as the third eye. And we have the crown chakra. So they work together as a system. Now, let's say you want to manifest something, right? To my example earlier, let's say you're manifesting a relationship. If your energy is blocked and it's not flowing properly, and you've got blockages all over the place, but you're trying to manifest a relationship, that relationship will not come to you because you will not be a vibrational match to that relationship. You need to work with the body's energy to make sure that everything feels really good and open and balanced and aligned so that you are ready to receive your manifestation. Why is this amazing? Because honestly, if you can work with the body's energy, it is the fastest way to manifest. It's the absolute fastest way. What I didn't realize in the relationship example, I must have thought about that guy twice or 3 times before he came into my life, because I was working with my sacral energy. I was working with the Swadhisthana energy. This is where the reproductive organs are. How was I working with it? Because when I was thinking about him, it was fun, it was exciting, it was joyous. And that center loves that feeling of fun, joy, and excitement. In fact, it needs it. The other center so let's say you've written down your goals for next year, okay? So a goal might be, I want to find a career that I love. I want to find a job that I love. First of all, once you've got really clear and you've written it down, get that clear first. Then to get the body behind it, I recommend doing some yoga. I recommend get the chakras behind it by working with some yoga or some movement, getting excited about it, really thinking about, oh, what would be fun about this job? What would I love about it? What would make it fun and playful for me? The sacral then gets involved and starts to inspire you, makes you a match for that job, and also opens up the heart. The heart is really powerful for receiving our manifestations, right? The heart is really important because it's saying, universe, I love the sound of this job. Like, love. I want it so much because I love it so much. I feel so joyous about it. Bring it to me. The heart is 1,000 times more powerful than anything else in your body energetically. But once your heart is behind something, it is coming. It is coming. Without a shadow of a doubt, it is coming into your life if your heart energy is behind it. And I recommend yoga because yoga just balances the system. It opens up the chakras. If you've got any blocks, yoga is the best thing to do to unblock yourself, especially if you're trying to manifest. Being unblocked, being free-flowing is really, really important.
Wow, so powerful. I love the passion and the knowledge by which you share this information. It really it takes me on a journey of like your belief system and how important this is. And I'm just so curious to know more. And I hope our listeners and our audience feel the same way about this as well. So um what happens when our chakras are imbalanced? And then how do we create a sense of balance?
When our chakras are in balance, we feel good, right? So if you think of a time in your life where you felt really energetic, where you felt happy, where you felt balanced, where you felt calm, it's a sign, it's a signal that the body is in balance, the energy is in balance. We know when we're not in balance when we don't feel good, right? Something feels off. We feel drained. We might have pain. We might have stiffness, right? And it's quite common for things to be in and out of balance. It's the body's signal, it's the chakra system's way of signaling to you, hey, something's not right. Something needs to be changed. So the first thing is notice your body, right? We are souls or spirits or whatever you call it, but actually we live in a physical body. And this is why it's so important, is because whenever we are trying to manifest, the physical body needs to be involved. So we have thoughts need to be involved, as I said earlier, but the feelings are key. And the feelings are vibrations, just like everything else. Feelings live in the body. So our body needs to feel balanced. And if you don't feel balanced, right? So let's say you're listening to this and you're like, gosh, I have got a pain, or gosh, I don't feel balanced, or you know what, I am so drained of energy. Take stock, take inventory of your life. First thing to look at, external factors, right? What is draining me in my environment? People, activities, habits. Then go within. Where in my body do I feel imbalanced, right? Where is it? Is it my digestive system? That is the solar plexus, the Manipur. That relates to taking action. Am I procrastinating on something? Am I lacking confidence? Is it in my head? Do I constantly get headaches? Intuition. Am I not listening to the intuitive knowledge that I'm getting to follow a nudge? Is it in the heart? Right? Am I feeling sad? Am I not loving myself enough? Am I not kind to myself? So the first step is just notice. And you might be thinking, I don't know what the chakras relate to, and if I feel a pain here, what does it mean? First step, just start doing what you can to get your body back into balance. And I always say yoga is a great place to start, because even if you don't know the philosophy, just starting with some really basic yoga, really basic, do it in your own way, however stiff you might be, it naturally starts to bring the body back into balance. And then, as I said, the external factors, the habits, the diet, what's around you. Maybe someone in your life needs to leave your life. Maybe they are affecting you negatively. Bring yourself into balance in that way. So there's the internal work and then the external work. And then when you're feeling balanced, okay, what do I want? Again, get specific, feel it, get excited about it, and then make it happen and magnetize it to you.
Love it. Love it. Amazing. So powerful. And I really believe that as well, that our bodies, they hold like the tension, the resistance, and also the lightness. And it's up to us to work with our bodies, because we may think, I can't do that press up, I can't stretch and touch my toes. But the more we practice it, one day we will be able to. And suddenly we realize what we've let go within our bodies. And that's really powerful when we witness it within ourselves.
100%. And it builds confidence, right?
Absolutely.
When you do something, we're like, whoa, I can do this. What else can I do?
Wonderful. The evidence is really important, and that's what you've shown today, is do the work, see the evidence, and that almost makes us believe. There is a topic I really wanted to touch upon today, and that's around the energy of money. Like, money topics are so difficult for us to discuss, whether that's like, I want to get a raise, or how do I value myself as a coach, all the way through to, how do you have a money conversation with your partner? And it's really hard to navigate, and for many, even difficult to attract. Why can the energy of money feel like it's so elusive?
We're so weird about money. We are so weird about money. And it's, me included, right? We're raised in a society where money is involved in everything we do, pretty much, right? You want to go somewhere, you want to donate, you want to help a friend, you want to live a nice life, you want freedom. All of these things involve money. But there's so much shame around talking about money. So it's like, okay, you want money. If you want money, that means you are this and that, and greedy and selfish. And so we're in this really weird dynamic where there's this thing that we kind of need. Most of us live our lives for it, but then there's this shame around wanting it or needing it. So when it comes to manifesting it or talking about it, we're holding both of those places. And that's really confusing, right? So the first thing we need to do, accept the fact that, it's okay to want money. It doesn't make you a bad person, right? Lose that self-judgment around it and actually form a new relationship with money, right? Really, really important there. And I think you have to do a lot of work on your money. There's a great book that I absolutely love, which is called Get Rich Lucky Bitch. Sorry for swearing. But it's a very, very good book around, and it's by Denise Duffield Thomas. It's for men, it's for women. It's a beautiful book written by a very successful coach. And she talks a lot about money stuff and money stories and how our relationship to money is formed in our childhood. So if we grew up in a childhood where there wasn't very much, we then think about everything in terms of scarcity. And often a lot of that stuff comes from our parents and their money beliefs. We just take them on unconsciously as children. If we grow up in a house where there's a very healthy relationship with money, we're likely to have a better relationship with it as adults. So the reason money is so difficult and elusive is because most people haven't had the knowledge to do the work around it, right? Just like you work out in the gym to have a physical body that's healthy, you've also got to do some work around money. Because here's the thing, if I think about manifestation and you say to me, I want to make £50,000, great. How do you feel about it? Well, I don't really want people to know. I feel a lot of shame. Yes, I'd love the money, but it's embarrassing. Am I allowed to want £50,000? Is that too much? What message are you sending? What vibration are you giving the universe? What are your feelings about it? Going back to what it takes to manifest, yes, we're clear, step one, but the feelings around it are all over the place, right? And they're not positive. So if you do want to kind of do some work around money and bring in some money, the first step, right, and I think this is a really good exercise, is grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, yeah? Write the words, money is, and just free write. Money is, and just see what comes up for you. Then, rich people are. See what comes up. It might be things like selfish, greedy, horrible, you know? Notice what beliefs come up around money. Wealth is. And I think once you start uncovering some of that stuff, right? So let's say one of the limiting beliefs that comes up is rich people are greedy. If you then want to make £50,000, but that makes you a rich person, you also don't want to be greedy. So you're going to stop yourself from manifesting it. So it's important to rewire that belief and say, rich people are, okay, the unconscious belief is greedy. I'm going to change that. And if your brain needs to, find an example of somebody you know is rich, who is a really good person and not greedy. And you might make it, rich people are generous. Rich people are just like everyone else, right? You get rich people who are great. You get rich people who are not. You get poor people who are great. Poor people who are not. They're just people. So I think the money conversation needs to be made a bit more common. And I think we need to start really understanding ourselves and our relationship to money and actually getting clarity around that. If you don't want money, no problem, right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with not wanting it. But if you do, and you're looking to kind of increase your wealth and change things, it's really important to get underneath what's really getting in your way. Because those limiting beliefs, remember going back to thoughts that we need for manifestation, they're going to block you and that money won't come to you. And I often think, you know, if we were talking about another subject like cake, I want cake, I love cake, someone get me a cake. No resistance. Cool, have a cake, right? There's no shame around wanting cake. Why is money not like cake, right? There's all this stuff around it when, let's face it, we need it to survive. Yeah, so we need to really do some work around that, I think, individually, but also probably as a society.
Really powerful questions to reflect on and ask ourselves as well. I've got a question. Let me know what your thoughts on this is, because I have a view, and I think money, love, self-worth, they're all connected in a way. And like, what do you think about that? And then how do we change our money mindset and narrative?
I do think money and self-worth are connected, and I see it a lot with my clients. I think it's a really important relationship, how much we love and value ourselves, and then what comes back. And I often notice this with clients, actually. So, I mean, I had a client recently who was offered a job at a certain number. Let's just call it 100,000, right? And in our conversations, this job offer, I just said, okay, so you're offered 100,000. And he said, yeah. And he said, but I actually wanted 150. And I said, well, have you asked for 150? And he said, well, they've told me 100 is their max. They can't go any higher than that. And I said, well, what do you want? 150. And in our conversations, self-worth kept coming up as a theme. I am worthy of this. I am worthy of this. And I said, well, you've got two options. Either you can ask them for what you really want, or you can find it somewhere else. Lo and behold, when we did the work around the self-worth, then are you feeling worthy of that 150? He went back and he got it. So there is this power that kind of comes up in us when we feel worthy. We then advocate for what we want. We negotiate. We don't just take the first thing we're given. And then again, it's the universe kind of responds to that. And often a great way of keeping score is money. It's not the only measure, but if you know that, hang on, I'm doing this job, or I'm a coach, right? You can charge £20 an hour, but that is you valuing yourself at a £20 an hour coach. Another coach who has a higher level of self-worth may go out, may charge 200 an hour, and actually may be a worse coach than £20 an hour coach, but they feel worthy of that. Money is one of those things, and levels of money and income, they're very personal, right? So there's no right or wrong. But the only message I would give is, what do you feel worthy of? If you're really honest with yourself, and if you really think the universe loves you and the universe is abundant, what do you feel you are worth? And are you okay to stand in that self-worth and self-love and really ask for that? Because it takes courage, right? And when you do go there and ask for that, you kind of role model that for other people. And weirdly, when you ask for it, you will get what you want and what you feel you're worth. So it's about really doing that and going through that process on an individual level. How to change our money mindset. First of all, I think really get underneath, what are your limiting beliefs around money? What is the shame you're holding around it? Have you messed up in the past when it's come to money? Is it time to forgive yourself? Is it time to say, you know what? Me and money have had this relationship that's not been great my whole life. I'm going to decide to change it now. And I want to write a new narrative, right? These limiting beliefs, I'm going to rewrite them. And I think the most important thing, Monica, I want to give myself permission to make money. That's the biggest thing. And then, if you really want to go for it next year, put a number on it. The thing about money, beautifully, we can count it, right? Some other things are intangible, right? Health can be intangible sometimes, certain things. Money gives you numbers, numerical value, and we can tick it off. So if we really want to go for it and we're stretching ourselves, put a number on the money you want to make. Put a number on the money you want to save. Put a number on the money you want to donate, right? Whatever it is you want to do with that money, put specific numbers on it. Because again, the brain likes that specificity. If you say, I don't want to, I don't care about money actually. I don't want to write it down. Oh, no, it's not that important to me. That's some of your stuff coming up, right? What's happening there? Why do I feel this shame around it? What's wrong with wanting it? Will that money be useful not just to you, but to others as well? Yeah. So my advice is get clear, put a number on it, and stay with that number. Because whenever I do this, first of all, usually I smash that number. Like I get that number and then I get way, way more. But if I don't start with a number, I think it's very hard to know how you're doing and to measure progress.
Amazing. A lot of what you've spoken about today is I need to get some sheets of paper, get a pen, and just sit down and get clear on all these different elements of my life and for the lives of our audience as well. You use the word courage, and I feel that a lot of what we've spoken about today, it does take courage. It's about stepping into your own power, reclaiming it to then design the life that you really want. And we all have the ability to do that. And by the things that you've said today, and that really gives me a sense of freedom that it is possible. And, I can reclaim my personal power to design that life. And I think that's really, really powerful and really important. What kind of tips can you give to our users in terms of wanting to create the lives that we desire?
Well, first of all, I love that what you just shared, right? You absolutely can. I'm a living, breathing example of it. I didn't go to a posh school. I didn't grow up with privilege. I'm female, I'm Indian, technically the odds are stacked against me, but I've managed to do so much. First step is really know that you are worthy of what you want. You are worthy. You're worthy of your dreams. You're worthy of everything you want in your life. And confidence doesn't always come easy. Don't wait for the confidence to come. Take the action. It's going to scare the life out of you. Certain things are going to be terrifying. Just do them. That discomfort, it'll pass. And actually, when you do that thing again, you'll be like, what was I so scared of? Right? So take the action, move forward, and be your own best friend and supporter in your own mind. Really, so many times I've had to back myself when everyone around me has said, this will never happen, you're crazy. But I backed myself and I was okay to fail. And I think that's really important. Stand on your own, back yourself. If you need the support, get it, but take action. Take the wrong action even. You'll figure it out. It doesn't have to be perfect, but go forward. And going back to what I say earlier, the best place to start, get really clear on what you want. Once you're clear on what you want, the confidence comes from that. The action comes from that. Everything else comes from that. Without that clarity, it's really hard to be confident. So get clear.
Powerful stuff. What about this sense of people feeling lack? So say things are not going well, it can happen, right? Even to the most optimistic, positive person in the world, or someone who has created the life that they desire, they might enter a phase of difficulty and challenges. What can those people do to support themselves?
Yeah, we've all been through it. Yes, I'm in this position. I'm a coach and a consultant, and I don't have it all together all the time. I have days where it's really hard, right? So if I'm struggling, the first thing I will do is get my body into balance. I will make some time to do some yoga. I will not skip my yoga because I know that helps me to just come back into me. I run a business. You never know each month what's coming in, right? It can be up, it can be down. And so managing that can be really hard. And it's so easy to go into scarcity, with what's happening in the world. It's easy, right, to get pulled into that. So if you have gone into scarcity, or maybe you're worried about next year or the rest of this year, I always like to think of nature, right? So when we think about money, sometimes we can naturally go into scarcity. But what I do, a little trick, I will look out of my window and I will look at a tree. I'll look at one tree and I'll look at all the leaves on that tree. And I start counting those leaves. And it's a reminder that the universe is abundant and nature is abundant. And then I will look at the number of blades of grass, if I can see grass. How many blades of grass are there? It's abundant. And then I go into a supermarket and I look at how much food is in the supermarket. We're lucky, right? We live in a place where we have abundant food. And it's really funny that when you start doing that and you start noticing and counting all the number of things around you, you start noticing other things. How many friends I have who really care about me. How many, things I'm thinking in my life that are possible, right? All that starts to open up when we start leaning into abundance. Abundance is really kind of a way of life, and we dip in and out of that energy. When we're in an abundant energy, just like nature, things happen, things grow, and they happen in their own time. So always go back to nature, take a walk, look out your window. If you see anything nature related, it's a great reminder. Clouds in the sky, right? We're in England. We got plenty of clouds here. So wherever you are, I know you're in Dubai. So, it's like, what is the weather? What's the temperature? This much heat. Oh, wow. Nature is abundant. The sunlight is, it's a beautiful reminder.
And Mother Nature reminds us often about the change of time, the abundance is just there for us. And it's also healing, like just taking that walk in greenery, smelling the fragrance of the different seasons. It uplifts us and reminds us that we're part of something really great. And so I really love that. I love that you spoke about nature and its importance. So some of the tips today you've shared: get clear, focus on your body, go out in nature. Is there anything else that you really feel that you want to just like share with the world? I mean, don't really reveal too many of your secrets. I would like people to meet you and learn for themselves. But is there one other thing that you think is a game changer?
I think it's self-belief. I think that's the biggest thing. You've got to really find that place within you, dig really deep and get to that place where whatever it is you want, you truly believe you can have it. Use these practices, do the yoga, go into nature, whatever it takes. But when you get to that place of belief and a bit of fun, that's when it starts to become really magical.
Wonderful. Awesome. As we wrap up 2024, I really want to reflect on this year by someone we are both huge fans of, someone who is known as the GOAT, and that is a singer, a Punjabi singer, an actor. For my audience who may not know about this really famous Indian guy, his name is Diljit Dosanjh. I hope you're listening to this, like Pooja and I love you so much, Diljit. But I attended 2 of his concerts this year, one in London and one in Abu Dhabi, and I know you did as well. And for me, he is someone that really personifies manifesting the life that you want. You know, if anyone, we can watch this on YouTube as well, but that opening video at his concert is so powerful and it's so emotional. Like I had tears rolling down my eyes because it makes you realize that whatever struggle you go through, like you can really create the life that you want, put the work in there. And that's what he's truly achieved. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about him and what you think about him, really.
I love him too. I think he is so, I mean, this is a man who has grown up in or was born in a small village in Punjab, which is in northern India. So he had no privilege, he had nothing, no connections to the music industry. You know, he is completely self-made. And this is a man who, as well, doesn't even look like other people. You know, generally he's a Sikh, he wears a turban. We don't see people like him as rock stars, as pop stars. And he has smashed all of those stereotypes. He is the best-selling South Asian artist of the O2 in London, for example. He smashed that record, first one on the book cover of Billboard. So he is someone who's a really living, breathing example, I think, first of just being really authentic, right? He's true to who he is. And the reason that's important is because when we see that he is who he is, we are magnetically drawn to it. He's not pretending, he doesn't care, right? He is who he is. He's also really fun, he's joyous, he's playful, right? And that again makes us want to be around him and listen to his music. It looks like he's not attached to whether he sells out a stadium or not. Maybe he is, but it doesn't seem like he is. He seems like he's just enjoying it. And I remember in that opening video, he said, you know, the journey is the destination.
Mm.
Like that stood out for me so much. The journey is the destination. And I think he is a classic example of somebody who really loves what he's doing. He's on that journey and he's loving every moment of that journey. And kind of the destination then really does take care of itself. He's probably got things he's manifesting, right? Even more than he has, but he's not so focused on it that he's not being in the present moment. Another thing I love about him, you know, for us, he's a rock star, right? He's a Punjabi rock star, right? He's true to our mother tongue, true to, you know, his roots. He's not afraid to show who he is. He brings people together. And I think I loved that he spoke about spirituality. You know, he was the one that I heard recently to say, he said, yoga is life.
Mm.
And he was asked in an interview, what do you think you attribute your success to? And he actually said yoga. You know, again, when do you hear someone at that level who's played Coachella attributing their success to yoga? So there's something that he's very connected to the divine. He's connected to that energy. And it's almost like he's guiding it, it's guiding him. There's this dance he's doing. And I think he's a great role model for all of us to connect to who we are, to be really authentic, like be yourself, and actually also be tuned into yourself, right? That inner wisdom, because that is going to take you ultimately where you need to go.
Yeah, no, so beautiful. And, you know, he tells people at his concerts that you can design your life and you can be whatever you want to be. And that is really inspiring. It is about an abundant mindset. It's not saying that, you know, only I can make it. He's saying that you can all make it. And inspiring the future generation, inspiring the generation of our grandparents and our parents, like they all are in awe of the energy that he oozes, and that's something so powerful.
Incredible. It is incredible. And it brings people together, you know. It's not all about him. As you said, he uplifts others, he empowers others. I left his concert on a high, feeling like I could, do anything. That energy, to transfer that energy onto another person or onto a stadium of people, I think is incredible. And it's a gift, actually, all of us who got to experience it.
Well, we hope you're listening, Diljit. Let's give him a heart. Let's give him a heart, Pooja.
Yeah, we really want to meet you.
We love you.
We love you. We do love you. And what you're doing for Punjabis, and what you're doing for Indians, and what you're doing for people who look a bit different, and what you're doing for people who might doubt themselves. You are really changing the world. So we are super appreciative.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Pooja. As we wrap up another episode of the You Got This podcast, what one thing would you want to say to someone out there who may be struggling?
One thing, I think if you are struggling, you can change things. You can. Hopefully, you've got some value from what you've heard today. Make a decision to change things. It really all starts with a decision. Make that decision. This year, the rest of this year is going to be different. Next year is going to be different. So make that decision number one. Even if things sound a bit crazy, kooky, you don't want to try them, give them a go. It's incredible what will happen when you make that decision that you want to change things and you're no longer going to put up with the stuff that's not working for you. Refuse to let it be your reality anymore. And then everything around you will start to shift, but make that decision.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me today, Pooja. I'm so glad that LinkedIn brought us together again. I reminisce about our college days and the years of being a teenager and an early adult, and I loved every part of today's session. So thank you for joining us. And Pooja, if anyone wants to get to know you, how can they reach out to you and connect?
Yes, if you want to reach out, you can contact me at pooja@vivedaconsulting.com. So the website is Viveda Consulting. I also have a YouTube channel, so I talk about chakras and energy and manifestation. My YouTube is Pooja D Energy Coach, and I'm also on LinkedIn as Pooja Dhiman Coach. So any of those channels, totally fine. Reach out, and there's a lot of free stuff on YouTube, so please do check it out. Hopefully it's helpful.
Wonderful. And I'll share the links with the description for this podcast as well. Thanks so much, Pooja.
Welcome. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to my audience, remember, you've got this.